Exhaustion has a taste. Metallic and bitter, like blood and coffee mixed together. That's what I tasted as I finally pulled into the parking garage of Dante's building at 2:30 in the morning, my hands shaking on the steering wheel, my eyes burning from 16 hours of work and 3 hours at the hospital before that. The wedding had been beautiful. 300 guests, Michelin-starred catering, a dress that cost more than I made in 6 months. The bride had cried. The groom had cried. I'd coordinated everything with the mechanical precision of someone running on fumes and desperation. And then it had started raining. I sat in my car for a moment, looking down at the navy blue suit jacket I was wearing. Roberto's jacket. He'd seen me about to make a run for my car through the downpour, had shrugged off his jacket with that fatherly concern he always showed, and draped it over my shoulders. "Can't have you getting sick, Piccola," he'd said. Roberto was 52. Married to his high school sweetheart, had 3 daughters he showed photos of constantly. He was safe. Kind. Completely, utterly harmless. I should have given it back immediately. Should have remembered. But I'd been so tired, so focused on just getting home, that I'd driven away still wearing it. Now, staring at it in the dim garage lighting, I felt dread pool in my stomach. Dante was going to notice. Dante noticed everything. I took the private elevator up to the penthouse, my reflection staring back at me from the mirrored walls. I looked terrible. Hair falling out of its updo, makeup smudged, the jacket hanging off my small frame like I was a child playing dress-up. 3 months. I'd been with Dante Moretti for 3 months. 3 months of the most intense, overwhelming, suffocating relationship I'd ever experienced. He was possessive in ways I hadn't known were possible. He tracked my phone, knew my schedule better than I did, wanted to know where I was, who I was with, what I was doing every single moment. At first, it had felt like protection, like someone finally caring enough to pay attention. Now it felt like drowning. The elevator doors opened directly into his penthouse. I stepped out, my heels clicking on marble floors, and immediately knew something was wrong. The lights were off. The entire sprawling space was dark except for the city lights filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows. And sitting in the living room, silhouetted against those windows, was Dante. Waiting. He was in a chair, one ankle crossed over his knee, a glass of whiskey in his hand. Still in his dress clothes from whatever business he'd conducted today, white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, dark slacks. The Rolex on his wrist caught the ambient light. He'd been waiting for me. "You're late," he said, his voice dangerously calm. My stomach dropped. That tone. I knew that tone. It meant he was controlling his temper with visible effort. "The wedding ran over," I said, setting down my bag with careful movements. "I texted you. At midnight. It's now 2:30 a.m. He set down the glass with deliberate care, the sound of crystal on marble unnaturally loud in the quiet. "What took 90 additional minutes? Cleanup. We had some drunk guests who needed handling. And then traffic was terrible because of the rain. I was too tired for this. Too emotionally destroyed from visiting Sophia at the hospital earlier, from seeing her barely conscious, from talking to doctors about bills I couldn't pay. Dante, I'm exhausted. Can we not do this tonight?" He stood, and even in the darkness, I could see the tension in his body. The controlled violence he kept wrapped in expensive suits and careful manners. "Where did you get that jacket you're wearing?" The question stopped me cold. I looked down at myself, at Roberto's jacket still draped over my shoulders, and felt the temperature in the room seem to drop 10 degrees. "A colleague lent it to me," I said carefully. It was raining and I needed to get to my car. "What colleague?" Each word was precisely articulated. Too controlled. Too calm. "Roberto. Head of security at the hotel. He saw me about to run through the rain and gave me his jacket. I started to shrug it off, my hands trembling. I forgot to return it. I'll give it back tomorrow." "Roberto." Dante moved toward me with that predatory grace that had attracted me 3 months ago and terrified me now. "Roberto who?" "Santini. Roberto Santini." My voice was getting higher, stress making it crack. He's 52 years old and married with 3 daughters. Dante, this is ridiculous. Is it? He was close now, so close I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. And what I saw there made my breath catch. Rage. Barely controlled, simmering just below the surface. You come home at 2:30 in the morning wearing another man's jacket, and I'm being ridiculous for asking questions? It was raining. You have a coat. In my office. Across the property. Frustration was giving way to anger now, exhaustion stripping away my usual careful diplomacy. It was pouring rain, Dante. Roberto saw me about to run through it and gave me his jacket. That's it. That's the entire story. There's nothing else to it. He gave you his jacket. Dante's hand came up, fingers touching the collar of the jacket with a gentleness that contradicted the fury in his eyes. Put his clothes on your body. Oh my God. I jerked away from his touch. You're insane. It's a jacket. A piece of fabric. It means nothing. It means another man touched you. His hand shot out, gripping my shoulder through the fabric. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to make his point. Another man was close enough to put this on you. Another man took care of you when that's my job. Your job. The words burst out before I could stop them. Your job is to interrogate me about borrowed clothing at 3 in the morning? Your job is to make me account for every 90 minutes of my life? Your job is to track my phone and monitor my schedule and act like I'm your property instead of your girlfriend. His jaw ticked. I protect what's mine. I'm not a possession. My voice was rising now, 3 months of buried resentment finally breaking free. I'm a person, Dante. A person who's exhausted and stressed and barely holding it together, and you're standing here acting like I committed some crime by accepting a jacket from a married 52-year-old man. You should have called me. I would have brought you a coat. You were in a meeting. You told me not to disturb you after 9. Tears were burning my eyes now, hot and furious. So Roberto, a kind, fatherly colleague who's never been anything but professional, saw me about to get soaked and helped me. That's it. That's the big betrayal you're so furious about. I don't like other men touching you. He didn't touch me. He gave me a jacket. I was yelling now. All the careful control I'd maintained for 3 months finally shattering. And you know what? Even if he had touched me, even if he'd hugged me or held my hand or given me a friendly pat on the shoulder, that wouldn't be a betrayal. That would be normal human interaction, which you seem to have forgotten exists. Dante's eyes darkened dangerously. Careful, Chiara. Careful. I laughed, and it sounded slightly hysterical. Careful of what? That you'll get angry? You're already angry. You've been angry since I walked in wearing this jacket. You were probably angry while you sat here in the dark waiting for me, like some kind of movie villain. I was worried. You were possessive. I shrugged off the jacket, threw it at him.
Here. Take it.
Burn it.
Do whatever you want with it.
It clearly offends you so much that another man showed me basic human kindness. He caught the jacket, his knuckles white as he gripped it. This isn't about kindness. Then what is it about, Dante? What is this really about? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're more concerned about some imaginary threat from a married security guard than you are about me. That's not true. Isn't it? Tears were streaming down my face now, and I didn't even care. When's the last time you asked me how I'm doing? Really doing? When's the last time you noticed that I'm falling apart? He stared at me, something shifting in his expression. What are you talking about? My sister. The words came out as a sob. Sophia is in the hospital, Dante. She tried to kill herself 2 weeks ago. She's been there for 14 days, and you haven't asked about her once. Not once. The fury in his expression gave way to shock. You didn't tell me, because every conversation we have is about you, about where I am, who I'm with, what I'm wearing, whether I'm being loyal enough, devoted enough, yours enough. My hands were shaking so badly, I had to clasp them together. I'm working 16-hour days trying to pay her medical bills. I'm visiting her every morning before work. I'm watching my baby sister lie in a hospital bed barely conscious, and you're interrogating me about a jacket. Chiara, he reached for me. Don't. I stepped back. Don't touch me right now. I can't. I can't do this anymore. The silence stretched between us, heavy and terrible. What are you saying? His voice was quiet now, the anger gone, replaced by something that might have been fear. I'm saying I can't breathe, Dante. I'm saying your love feels like suffocation. I'm saying that I'm drowning, and instead of helping me, you're holding me underwater because you're too busy worrying about other men to notice I'm dying. I grabbed my bag, headed toward the bedroom. Where are you going?
To bed.
I have to be at the hospital at 6 a.m. before my shift starts at 8. I didn't look back. And then I have another wedding tomorrow night. So I'll probably be home late again. Try not to interrogate me about it. I closed the bedroom door behind me and collapsed against it, my whole body shaking with sobs I'd been holding in for 2 weeks. This is insane, I thought. This relationship is destroying me. But I was too tired to leave. Too broken to fight anymore. So I cried myself to sleep still wearing my work clothes, alone in Dante Moretti's massive bed. I woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. For one blissful moment, I thought last night had been a nightmare. Then I felt the dried tears on my face and remembered. The bedroom door opened. Dante appeared carrying a tray, coffee, pastries, fresh fruit. He looked like he hadn't slept, still wearing yesterday's clothes, hair disheveled. Don't. I sat up, pulling the blanket around myself like armor. Don't try to fix this with breakfast. I'm not trying to fix anything. He set the tray on the nightstand, sat on the edge of the bed. I'm trying to take care of you, which I should have been doing all along. I stared at him, wary. I called the hospital this morning, he continued quietly. Spoke with your sister's doctor. Her bills are being transferred to my account. All of them. Past, present, and future. What? Dante, no. I can't. You're not asking. I'm telling you. His hand found mine, gentle despite the firmness in his voice. Sophia is important to you, which makes her important to me. Her medical care is handled. You don't have to work yourself to death anymore. Tears were burning my eyes again.
Why?
Because I love you. He said it simply. And because last night, I realized I've been so busy trying to own you that I forgot to actually love you. You scared me, I whispered. The way you looked at me over that jacket, I was terrified. I know. He pulled me into his arms, and I was too exhausted to resist. I was jealous, furious, irrational, and completely wrong. It was just a jacket, Dante. Roberto is harmless. I know that too. His hand slid into my hair. Roberto is one of my men. He texted me the moment he gave you his jacket. Told me exactly what happened and why. I pulled back to stare at him. What? Roberto Santini, head of security at the Grand Palazzo Hotel, which I own, which you would know if you ever looked at the corporate structure of Moretti Holdings. His smile was bitter. He reports to me. He's been with me for 20 years. He's loyal, professional, and treats you like a daughter because I told him to look out for you. My mind was reeling. You own the hotel? Where I work? Yes. And Roberto knew I was your girlfriend? Everyone who works for me knows you're my girlfriend. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. I made that very clear 3 months ago when we started dating. So when he gave me the jacket, he texted me immediately. Told me you were running to your car in the rain, and he was lending you his jacket, so you wouldn't get sick. I knew it was innocent. I knew exactly what happened. His jaw ticked. But when I saw you walk through that door wearing another man's clothes, I lost my mind anyway. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That's insane. Yes. He didn't try to defend it. It is. Because my jealousy isn't about trust, Chiara. It's about control. I'm terrified of losing you, so I try to own you. I monitor you. I track you. I interrogate you. And in doing so, I'm pushing you away. You're suffocating me, I said quietly. I know. His forehead pressed against mine. And I'm going to fix it. Starting now.
How?
Therapy. For both of us. You need help processing your sister's suicide attempt and the stress you've been carrying. I need help learning how to love you without destroying you. His hand cupped my face. And we need couples counseling to figure out how to make this relationship work without you drowning. I stared at him. Dante Moretti, Mafia Don, owner of a luxury hotel empire, suggesting therapy. You're serious? Completely. I don't want to own you, Chiara. I want to love you. But I need to learn how to do that without my possessiveness becoming poison. His eyes were intense on mine. Will you let me try? Will you give me a chance to be better? This is insane, my mind whispered. He owns the hotel where you work. He's been monitoring you through his employees. He flew into a jealous rage over a borrowed jacket he knew was innocent. But he was also admitting his mistakes, offering to change, paying for Sophia's medical care without being asked. Okay, I whispered. But I have conditions. Anything. You stop tracking my phone. You stop monitoring my schedule through your employees. You learn to trust me. I met his eyes. And if you ever interrogate me like that again, over something innocent, I walk. I'm done being treated like property. Agreed. He said it without hesitation. Anything else? I want to meet Roberto.
Properly.
I want to thank him for the jacket and apologize for whatever hell you probably put him through last night. A ghost of a smile crossed Dante's face. I didn't put him through hell. He's the one who told me I was being an idiot, sat me down at 4 a.m. and explained that I was losing the woman I love because I'm too afraid to trust her. He said that. He said much worse. Roberto has known me since I was 12. He's the only person who can tell me I'm being a fool and live. Dante's hand found mine. And he was right. I am a fool. But I'm a fool who loves you and wants to do better. I looked at this man who'd terrified me last night and was now offering therapy and trust and change. This dangerous, possessive, overwhelming man who is finally seeing me as more than something to own. I love you too, I said quietly. Even though you're insane and possessive and you scared me last night. I know. His smile was soft. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never feel that scared again. He kissed me then, gentle and careful, like I was something precious he'd almost broken. The next 3 months were hard. Harder than I'd expected. Therapy was brutal. My therapist helped me process Sophia's suicide attempt, the stress I'd been carrying, the codependency I'd developed with Dante. His therapist helped him understand that his possessiveness came from childhood trauma, losing his mother young, his father's betrayals, learning that love meant ownership. Couples counseling was where we really fought, screaming matches about boundaries, about trust, about what love should look like versus what it had become. But slowly, things changed. Dante removed the tracking app from my phone, stopped asking his employees to report on me, started asking, "How was your day?" instead of "Where were you?" I started being honest about my fears instead of hiding them, started saying I need space instead of just withdrawing. And Sophia got better. The experimental treatment Dante's money paid for worked. She woke up, started therapy, began the long road to recovery. "Your boyfriend saved my life," she said one afternoon in her hospital room, 3 months after her admission. "The doctor said without that treatment, I wouldn't have made it." I know. Do you love him? She studied me with those hazel eyes we'd both inherited from our mother. Really love him? Not just love him because he's powerful and protective and pays for things. I thought about it. About the Dante who'd interrogated me over a jacket. About the Dante who'd admitted his mistakes and offered to change. About the man who sat in therapy every week trying to be better for me. Yes, I said. I really love him. Good. She squeezed my hand. Because he looks at you like you're the only thing keeping him human. Don't give up on him. I didn't plan to. 6 months after the jacket incident, Dante and I stood in Roberto's office at the hotel. "You wanted to see me, boss?" Roberto asked, his kind face creasing with concern when he saw me. "Is everything all right, Piccola?" "Everything's fine," I said, pulling the navy blue jacket from my bag. "I just wanted to return this. Finally. And say thank you." He took the jacket, smiled. "For this?" It was nothing. Not for the jacket. I glanced at Dante. For what you said to him. That night. About him being a fool. Roberto's laugh was warm.
Ah, that.
Well, someone needed to tell him. And I'm old enough that he can't fire me for honesty. I could, Dante said mildly. But you're right too often to be worth the trouble. Also, I know where all the bodies are buried. Roberto winked at me. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Of course, I agreed, smiling. Dante's hand found my waist, possessive, but gentle. Not suffocating anymore. Just there, claiming me in a way that felt like love instead of ownership. Thank you, Roberto, he said seriously, for looking out for her.
For being honest with me.
For being the kind of man I need working for me. Always, boss. Roberto's expression softened as he looked at us together. She's good for you. Makes you almost human. Almost, I agreed, leaning into Dante's side. We left the office hand in hand, and I thought about that night 6 months ago. About walking into the penthouse, wearing another man's jacket. About the terror I'd felt when the temperature dropped and Dante asked that loaded question. About how that confrontation had nearly destroyed us but ultimately saved us. What are you thinking? Dante asked as we waited for the elevator. That I'm glad Roberto gave me his jacket. He raised an eyebrow. Really? Really? Because it forced us to have the conversation we needed to have. It made us face what we were becoming. I looked up at him. I was drowning, Dante. And you were so busy trying to own me that you didn't notice. That jacket was the catalyst that made us both see reality. I almost lost you that night. I almost left, I admitted. If you hadn't changed, if you'd kept being possessive and controlling, I would have walked away. Even though I loved you. I know. His hand tightened on mine. Which is why I changed. Because losing you wasn't an option. The elevator arrived. We stepped in, and Dante pulled me into his arms. I'm going to ask you something, he said quietly. And I need you to be honest. Okay. Are you happy? With me? With us? With how things are now? I thought about it seriously. About the therapy sessions. About him learning to trust me. About me learning to speak up instead of hiding my fears. About Sophia getting better with his help. About falling asleep in his arms without feeling suffocated. Yes, I said. I'm happy. Are you? More than I've ever been. He kissed me softly. You make me want to be better, Chiara. Not because I'm afraid of losing you, but because you deserve the best version of me. You're getting there, I said, smiling against his lips.
Slowly.
But you're getting there. I'll keep trying. His forehead pressed against mine. For the rest of my life, if you'll let me. The rest of my life sounds good. 1 year after the jacket incident, Dante proposed. Not with a grand gesture or public spectacle. Just the two of us, in our penthouse, on a quiet Sunday morning. I have something for you, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. I stared at it, my heart pounding. Dante, before you say anything, let me say this. He opened the box to reveal a stunning emerald ring surrounded by diamonds. A year ago, I almost lost you because I was too possessive to see I was hurting you. Because I tried to own you instead of love you. You could have left. Should have left. But you gave me a chance to change. You did change, I whispered. Because you were worth changing for. He pulled the ring from the box. I'm not the same man who interrogated you about a jacket. I've learned to trust, to love without suffocating, to be your partner instead of your owner. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving that to you. Tears were streaming down my face. Marry me, Chiara. Not because I own you or control you or possess you, but because I love you, because you make me better, because I want to be your partner in everything. Yes, I managed through my tears. Yes, I'll marry you. He slipped the ring onto my finger, then pulled me into his arms. I love you, he murmured against my hair. My equal. My partner. Mine. Yours, I agreed. And you're mine too. Always. Standing there in his arms, I thought about that night a year ago. About the jacket. About the temperature dropping. About the confrontation that had nearly ended us. About how that moment of jealous rage had forced us both to face the truth. Love without trust is just possession. And possession destroys everything it tries to hold. Dante had learned that the hard way. And so had I. This is insane, I'd thought that night, crying myself to sleep alone. Now I thought, this is everything. Because we'd survived the worst of each other. We'd faced our demons. We'd chosen to change instead of break. And now, wearing his ring, planning a future together, I knew we'd made the right choice. Dante Moretti had asked me about a jacket and nearly lost me. But in losing his control, he'd found something better. A partnership built on trust, honesty, and love that didn't require ownership. And that was worth everything.